Hello, welcome to 6-7, and this chapter is on line graphs. So now when you usually see a line graph, you will see our x, our y, and x-axis, and then we'll have our intervals along the side, our data points, and then we will kind of graph our data, kind of connecting our dots that we plot. So let's get started. All right, so our first job here is that we need to make a line graph from the data in our table. Now this is going to be kind of a big line graph, so I'm going to make sure I get things up on the top. All right, so first I'm going to start by drawing my x and y axis. So along the bottom I'm going to do my years, and I want to make sure I'm going up by a 10-year interval because I see between 1690 and 1670, there is only a 10-year interval there. So let's start by going 1650, 1660, 1670, 1680, 1690, 1700, and then we can stop because that's our last data point we need to plot. And then going along the side, I see these are all in thousands. So I'm going to do my my population in thousands. Oh, my S's do not quite look good. Okay. So if I started off and I made a break and I said I'm going to start with 50,000 and go up by 25, 75, 100,000, 125,000, 150,000, 175,000, 200,000, 225,000, 250,000, 275,000. Okay, so I have both my x and y axis. Oh, I don't have down here labeled. This one I need to label it. This is years. Okay, and then across the top I should put population of American colonies. Okay, now it's time to plot our points. So at 1650, the population was at about 50,000. So I can just put my dot there. At 1670, it was at about 111. So I put my dot there and connect them with a straight line, straight as I can make it. 1690 was 210,000. And then at 1700, it was 250, about 250,000. So it's just kind of a good increase of population. And that is all that we have to do. Make sure that you really take the time to label all of your axes, give your graph a title, and then we should be good. Let's try another one. Okay, so now in this problem, it's giving us the question, and we have to type or decide what the answer would be, giving us the graph. In which year did mountain bikes cost the least? Well, I see that right here. If I go down, I see my year would be 2004. About how much did mountain bikes cost in 2006? So I'm going to look at this data point here, and I'm going to follow the line. I would say it cost about $300. Lastly, did mountain bike prices increase or decrease from 2004? Again, we're going to look at this point. Let me see if I can get a darker color here. We're going to look at this point. Until this point, we see that cost increased. Okay, next. The increase to about $425. Yikes. All right, so now we're going to make a double line graph. All right, so I put the steps down at the bottom here, so in case you wanted to copy them into your notes, I think it would be beneficial for when you go back and try to review and study. It's good to know step by step what to do. So determine an appropriate scale and interval. So if I'm looking at my import and exports, I do see that they go up about 5. Wow. Yeah, I think I'm going to choose a 500. These are in billions of dollars. So 500 billion is what my interval is going to be for my y-axis. So when I am labeling my y-axis, I need to make sure I clearly state that this is in dollars, not, some other form of currency. Then I can do my x-axis. Now along the bottom, 80, 85, 90, 95, 2000, 2005. Yep, goes by 5 years, so I can just copy these down. 1980, 1985. And then along here, I'm going to put these are years. Alright, so the reason why this is a double bar graph is because we have both exports and imports. So you do want to use 2 different colors when you're doing a double line graph. So let's start by plotting our points here. In 1980, export was 272, so that's pretty low here. I need to also make a key that says this color is export, and I'm going to do light blue for import, and then we'll put a box around it. Okay, and then import for that year is 291. So we do want to start that just a little bit higher. I know it's not quite at 500. I could have maybe done a wider gap for my intervals, but this will work. So then my next export was 289. So that one just barely went up. My next export was 530. Ooh, nice. Now we're seeing some growth. I can connect to my points too. 1995 was 794. So some more growth. 1071. And then 1200. Okay, and then if we look at our imports, now I'll switch to my other color. 1985 imports was 411. 616. 890. 1,400. And almost 2,000. Okay, so this is just our double bar graph. We show kind of, we're comparing imports and exports, what the amount of money they made for them. Again, I would maybe write this down. Let's see, did I do everything? Determine appropriate scale and interval, check. Mark a point for each export and import value, connect the points, yep. Oh, make a point for imports, check. Title the graph. Oops, we better title it up. United States Trade is our title. All right, so that is our last kind of little look at a double bar graph. We'll practice making these graphs and reading these graphs tomorrow in class. But anyways, thank you for watching.